morning, students. Today we are going to continue with the rest part of the chapter, understanding our criminal justice system. Right? In the first part of the lecture, we tried to basically understand what is criminal justice system and the role of police, and we try to understand how different individuals play their important role in the criminal justice system. Right? And who are those people? Those people are the police, the prosecution lawyer, the defense lawyer, and the judge. So we are here we in the previous uh, lecture we discussed the role of police. So what basically we what and collect evidences, record the statements of witnesses, and once the investigation is complete, a charge sheet is prepared, and that charge sheet is submitted in the court. And then it is the court to decide whether the accused person is guilty or innocent. It is not the job of the police to say whether the person is guilty or innocent. We discussed the DK Basu guidelines as well, and here we also talked about first information report. We discussed the cognizable and non-cognizable offense as well. Now let us start with this. What is the role of the public prosecutor? A criminal offense is regarded as a public wrong. So what it means that when a person does a crime, it is to be seen from the perspective of its effect on the society. Okay, what is the effect of the crime on the society? And being the caretaker of the society, the judicial system has to ensure that other people don't get distracted to wrong path and start committing those crimes. If the criminal or if the accused person goes scot free, if he is proven innocent, that is okay. But if that accused person is proven a guilty person, then the guilty has to be punished, so that it could send a message to the society also that if you do something wrong, then punishment will be there, right? You will be punished by of law if one commits something wrong, something which is harmful for the society, right? And which is illegal, right? So that person, if the accused person is proven guilty, then the guilty person has to be punished, and the punishment also we discussed earlier should be such that the person the guilty uh, doesn't commit the same kind of mistake or doesn't commit any other crime, and simultaneously it's a message to other people in the society that they do not commit such kind of crimes. Okay. Here also the meaning has been explained. What is meant by this, the what do we understand by public wrong, is that it is considered to have been committed not only against the affected victims but against society as a whole. So whenever a crime is committed, it is not committed just against an individual. It is seen from the perspective of the effect of the crime on the society as a whole, right? So it affects the whole society. And the judicial system, as I said in the beginning also, being the caretaker of the society, has to ensure that crimes have to be tamed and the guilty have to be punished, and they have to be punished in such a way that they do not commit the crimes again and starts committing crime. Do you remember the case of the dowry death of Sudha that we read about in the previous chapter? The case against the accused Lakshman and his family was presented by the state. That is why the case was called State Delhi Administration versus Lakshman Kumar and others. Similarly, the above case can be called State versus Shanti Abraham Hemram and not Mrs. Shinde versus Shanti Hemram. Right? A public prosecutor in court, it is the public prosecutor who represents the interest of the state. The role of the prosecutor begins once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. He or she has no role to play in the investigation. Whose work is it? The investigation is the work of the police or the investigating agencies. The prosecutor must conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state. As an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially. He has to act impartially. It means he doesn't have to take anyone's side. He has to neutrally present the full and material facts, witnesses, and evidences before the court to enable the court to decide the case. So, as we are saying, that public prosecutor, who is an important component of public justice system. The public prosecutor is appointed by the state and he conducts a truthful picture before the court. Even though he appears on behalf of the state, it is, as we have already talked about it, it is equally his duty to see that the accused does not suffer in an unfair and unethical manner. Unethical is which is not morally acceptable, which we cannot accept from the point of view of morality. He has to be truthful and impartial, means he has to be unbiased, right? So that even the accused person receives justice. The public prosecutor plays a dominant role in the withdrawal of a case from the prosecution. He should withdraw from prosecution in rare cases, lest the confidence of the public in the efficacy of administration of justice be shaken. Right? So here we understand the role of the public prosecutor, who is appointed by the state, though he appears to be on behalf of the state, but he has to act impartially. He has to be neutral and he has to present the full and material facts before the judge, so that the judge is enabled to take correct judgment. So let us discuss the role of the judge, and before that I would like to just throw some light on the role of the defense lawyer. Right? The defense lawyer represents the case on behalf of the defendant. Okay? One who tries to defend himself or herself, saying that he or she is innocent. The defense lawyer presents all evidences to counter the prosecutor's arguments and challenges the facts presented by the prosecutor. A defense lawyer can be hired by a person or a company to defend them against the state in a criminal trial. If the court feels that a person is too poor to defend himself or herself in a case, then a defense lawyer can be provided by the court. The court gives equal hearing to all involved in the case and pronounces someone as guilty only after there is sufficient evidence against the person. So, let us just right now discuss the role of the judge. The judge is like an umpire in a game and conducts the trial impartially and in an open court. The judge hears all the witnesses and any other evidences presented by the prosecution and defense. That the judge decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent on the basis of the evidence presented and in accordance with the law. If the accused is convicted, then the judge pronounces the sentence. He may send the person to jail or impose a fine or both, depending on what the law prescribes. Okay, and here we understand that the judge plays a crucial role in the system of justice in India. They assess the evidence presented before them and defense lawyer. They do not let their emotions affect the judgment. They need to be highly professional and they did not get carried away by any emotions. Okay, the judge has to hear the case very patiently, hear both the sides, the prosecution and the defense, and he has to pronounce the judgment based on the evidences presented. And when the person is proven guilty, the amount of punishment will also be in accordance with the law, what the law prescribes. Okay, they pronounce the judgment at the end of the trial in a case. In case a person is proven guilty, they decide the punishment as per the law. As I just now said, that whatever is as per the law or whatever the law prescribes, according to that, punishment can be given. Punishment cannot be, the quantum of punishment cannot be more or less than what is prescribed as per the law. And he ensures that it is appropriate to the degree, it has to be ensured that the degree of the whatever the degree of the offense, uh, according to the degree of the offense committed, the punishment has to be given, and that should be in accordance with the whatever the law has prescribed. In case a person is not proven guilty, the judge is instrumental in publicly resorting the social respect of the person and declaring him or her free of the charges. Okay, now we've been hearing about this. What is fair trial? Simple, in a very simple language, we say that fair trial is a situation in which the accused person is given uh, a fair chance to prove his innocence, right? And in a fair trial, the judge has to be impartial, and if the accused person is poor, then he has to be assisted uh, by the state. Okay, and the proceedings of the court are done in an open court, right? So here we understand. uh, let's for a moment imagine what might have happened if the judge decided to try Shanti's case very differently. What if the court did not give a copy of the charge sheet and statement of witness to Shanti? What if he held the trial in a secret location where neither Shanti nor Sushil were present? What if he did not give Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, enough time to question the witness of the prosecution, such as Mrs. Shinde, and instead had already decided that Shanti was guilty? If this had happened, then it would be a case of an unfair trial. So, this is because for a trial to be fair, several different procedures have to be observed. Article 21 of the Constitution, that guarantees the right to life, states that just legal procedure. A fair trial ensures that Article 21 of the Constitution is upheld. The right to life is upheld. Let us now return, and it can be taken away only by following proper law and the reasonable and just legal procedure. Okay, let's now return to Shanti's case, such as described in the storyboard, and identify the essential elements of a fair trial. Firstly, Shanti was given a copy of the charge sheet and all other evidence that the prosecution presented against her. Shanti was charged with the offense of theft that was defined as a crime in the law. The trial was held in an open court, in public view. It was not held at a secret place. So it was very transparently done. There was full transparency implemented and nothing was hideous. Her brother Sushil could attend the court hearings. The trial was held in the presence of the accused. Shanti was defended by a lawyer. Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, was given an opportunity to cross-examine all the prosecution witnesses. Advocate Roy was given an opportunity to present witnesses in Shanti's defense. So everything that has been done in this case is an example, uh, are the elements of a fair trial. So all the highlighted lines you can see: open court, and the trial was held in the presence of the accused, right? And Shanti was defended by a lawyer, and her lawyer was given an opportunity to cross questioning all the prosecution witnesses which were there to prove the guilt of Shanti, and equal opportunity was given to the defense lawyer also to prove the innocence. Advocate Roy was given an opportunity to present witnesses in Shanti's defense. Although the police filed a case of theft against Shanti, the judge assumed her to be innocent. It was the responsibility of the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Shanti was guilty. In this case, the prosecution failed to do so. So, you can see the highlighted lines. The judge assumed her to be innocent. It was the responsibility of the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt, right, that Shanti was guilty. In this case, the prosecution failed to do so. It is significant that the judge decided the matter only on the basis of evidence. As we discussed earlier also, that the judge cannot decide any matter by being emotionally carried away. He has to give the judgment, pronounce the uh, judgment only on the basis of evidence. The judge did not jump to the conclusion that Shanti was the thief just because she was a poor maid servant. Instead, the judge remained impartial, and since the evidence showed that some young men and not Shanti was thief, he made Shanti fair trial. So fair trial is a situation in which um, equal opportunity is given to both the prosecution side and the defense side. The prosecution will uh, present all the full material to prove the guilt of the person, and the defense lawyer is also equally given enough opportunity, sufficient time to prove the innocence of the accused person. And the court proceedings have to take place, uh, which is open to public view, and the defense lawyer is also given the opportunity to cross examine the witnesses that were presented by the prosecution lawyer. And we also see the role of a judge, of the judge, in this in a fair trial, which is very important, that the judge has to remain impartial. Judge should not jump to conclusion, uh, or should not be having any pre-decided mindset that the person is guilty. So he should not, and he should not get, he or she should not get carried away uh, by any emotions, and uh, he should remain impartial, and he should pronounce the judgment only on the basis of the evidences available. Okay, so all these are the components of fair trial. Now we just let me discuss it with a little more considered to be fair. The Honorable Supreme Court, in the case of Zahira Habibullah Sheikh and and Anar versus State of Gujarat, has held that principle of fair trial now informs and energizes many areas of the law. It is reflected in numerous rules and practices. Fair trial obviously would mean a trial before an impartial judge, a fair prosecutor, and atmosphere of judicial calm. Fair trial means a trial in which bias or prejudice for or against the accused, the witnesses, or the cause which is being tried is eliminated. The courts have gradually expanded the meaning of fair trial to include various aspects of criminal procedure. For instance, the Supreme Court sometimes transfers cases from one state to another when it has been reasonably anticipated that the accused will not be given a fair trial or the court process may be interfered with. The right to silence instructs that the court or tribunals should not be invited or encouraged to conclude that a suspect or an accused is guilty merely because he has refused to respond to questions put to him by the police or by the court. So, um, we can say that the judge cannot be judgmental, or no one should be judgmental about any person who has supposed to have done some crime. Okay, so all the how in certain cases we have also got to hear uh, about such news also, when we see that the accused person may not get fair trial, then the case is transferred from one state to another. So this is just an expansion or extension of the scope of fair trial. The constitution and the law both state that all of the persons that we have discussed in this chapter should carry out their roles in proper manner. What this means is that all need to work to ensure that every citizen, irrespective of their class, caste, gender, religious, and ideological backgrounds, gets a fair trial when accused. The rule of law, which says that everyone is equal before the law, would not make much sense if every citizen were not guaranteed a fair trial by the Constitution. So you can understand the significance of fair trial here with this single line, which states that the rule of law is also be said to exist only when fair trial is given to every person when accused. Every person must get this right to prove his or her guilt. by giving him the situation of a fair trial in which judge has to remain impartial, in which all the facts and materials that are presented are truthful. The prosecution lawyer, the defense lawyer, both sides are heard with sufficient time, and the 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 court proceedings have to take place in an open court, right? So all these are the components of fair trial, and we can understand the importance of fair trial with this single line only, which says that the rule of law which says everyone is equal before law, this very line will not hold any meaning if fair trial is not given by the constitution to every citizen. Okay, so here we move further. I think yes, the exercises are there which I will provide you, and yes, some exercises are given. So I hope you have understood what is a fair trial, what is the role of a judge, what is the role of public prosecutor, and what is the role of a defense lawyer, what is the role of police. All this we have discussed. Thank you so much.